Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much once again for your support and to give us the opportunity to share what we love with you guys. We got two amazing presenters today, two great martial artists, two capoeiras, two amazing human beings. We got Mr. Bennett starting first and Mr. Jason Arnold. Both got amazing experience in the art, both very good and technician capoeiras. So you have the time to enjoy the art and just be ready. If you have any questions, at some point you can, or we let you know, you can open your mic and just once again thank you so much. And we start with a little intro for every topic. Thank you. Right now we're going to have David Sztajer, Mr. Sztajer out of Baltimore. He started his training when he was 13 years old. He's been training ever since. He currently holds the rank of 6th-degree black belt, and today he's going to be working off of, my understanding is American Tempo and talking about body dynamics, and structure, and application. So, with all that being said, have fun, guys. Enjoy. You don't have to sit at your computers. You can get up and move around. All right, and we'll be back in 35 to 40 minutes. Okay. All right. Take care, guys. Have fun. Good luck, David. God bless you, guys.
Yes. Even though my background is in American Tempo itself, I mean, a little Taekwondo, a little wrestling, things like this. A lot of this stuff that we're going to go over, you can really use in any style. It doesn't really matter what you're doing. So first things first, I want to thank Mr. Pizzaglia and Mr. Francisco for doing this. The pandemic hit. A lot of schools are hurting really bad, but on the positive note, with social media, we were able to switch everything from going in person, going online. I know as far as my studio, we've got half and half at this point. About half of our students are in studio. The other half that can't get here, or the parents don't want to bring them in, they're still online. All right, so that being said, I just want to thank both of those guys, Mr. Pizzaglia and Mr. Figueroa, for putting all this together. This is going to be a big thing. Of course, they always have my support. So let's rock and roll. So I'm going to give you guys some times every once in a while. I know we only have so much time. I'm not going to cover a whole lot of different techniques because it's not really about the technique. When push comes to shove, literally, it's about your ability to be able to pull off that strike. You have to be able to pull off a good elbow, a good punch. But if your punch is not formed correctly, or if your elbow is not striking correctly, you're just gonna make that guy madder, and then you're gonna have real problems. So what I want to do is really talk about, first things first, how we can actually use the body to gain momentum within our strikes. So we're gonna take one technique. And basically this technique is normally for a grab, but the idea that I want you to get, we're going to start from here, and I want you to actually, your hands will be at your sides. I want you to actually wiping your fingers. I just want you to do that just for a second, because what that's doing is creating friction, and friction can create momentum. So all you're doing is just wiping your hands on the side of your pants. Now, if I were to step forward, and with that friction, shooting that hand forward, we have many different techniques that do that. Breaking mace, triggered salute, many different techniques. But the idea of using that friction as we step forward. So what I want you to do is just that. I want that either right or left hand, doesn't matter which. You're stepping forward with that foot with the same hand that you're working with. So you're dragging in, bang, and settling. And I really want you to settle into that stance. Don't stay tall, because there's no settling. There's no structure within yourself. So when you're striking here, if I'm staying tall, it's just my arm that's hitting. And I mean, it's a pretty good strike. There's not too much there. But if I can settle, that's a different type of a strike. So I want you to settle, and you see how my height drops when I'm moving in. So I'm creating friction with my hand, settling myself down. So all I want you to do, doesn't matter if it's a fist, an open hand, I want you to take a second, give you like 30 seconds. Just work just that motion of settling in and just wiping off that leg and raising that hand up. Give you like 30 seconds. Go for it. So you're just moving in. Settling down. Settle yourself. It doesn't matter if it's a heel palm or an uppercut. Settle yourself down. 10 more seconds. Work just that. Just that. Just in the air. Or if you have a bag, working on the bag. Unfortunately, my Uki wasn't able to make it today, so I got my trusty bag. All right, so you have that motion. Now, this time when you do this, I do want you to strike with an open hand this time, and I'm going to give you a minute to do this on the body. What's going to happen here is this. Your partner's coming in with his right push or her right push. I want you to pin, settle, bang, and I want you to move with them. So as they're pushing you, you're settling down and mimicking their motion. Bang. Take 30 seconds. Do that just on the body. Go back and forth. Or if you have a bag, or if you don't have a bag, just do it in the air. Bang. When you do this, your arms stays loose until that moment of impact. We don't want to tense back here because then it slows the arm down. Arm stays loose. I always say to my students, loosey-goosey, or noodles. When you take noodles out of the pot after they've been boiling, they're loose, they're flimsy, right? So when you're loose, bang, until that moment of impact. Now, right from there, when you hit that shot, that hand can then turn. So you don't stop the momentum. You keep it going. So you strike, and then it turns over. So that would actually be to the eye. So when you're here, you're moving. And you see how it just from that strike, their head is going back, and right away you're raking. And your body is turning with it. So we went from a frictional, boom, and keep going with that. So your body keeps turning to then create force from rotation. So we went from moving forward. So we've got backup mass, moving forward, and then rotation. These are just words that we use to explain exactly what we're doing. They're just words. So if I did just the arm and I'm here, that's one thing. That's just my arm moving, and that's my shoulder creating the power. You want your body to create the power. Bam! So as you're striking, bang, and then rip through. So there's your first one. And then right away, we're going to pull their arm down. So now we're settling again. So we settled in, rip, drop. So we're using our body to create that momentum to strike harder. So wham, claw, drop down. Not just staying here, dropping with that motion. 5 seconds. If you've got a partner, it's going to be best to do it with a partner versus doing it in the air. So stop for a second. So let's talk about the weapon. The weapon itself that we're using is a heel palm. When we throw a heel palm using this part of the hand, we're using the hardest part of the hand to hit. Now you see as my fingers are structured, everybody has it different. You've got people that do a call like this, like. For me, my fingers, it doesn't really matter as far as my fingers go. They're going to call no matter what. I've heard, well, you have it like this way your thumb can gouge the eye. And whatever is most comfortable for you. This is what's comfortable for me. So you're hitting with the heel palm. You're making sure to pop with that heel palm. It's just not a strike. You're popping as you hit. You're popping, clawing, ripping down. So you're pulling down onto their arm. All right. So what we have here is we're forming our weapons correctly. We're using our body to hit. So we've created momentum. claw through the guy. We pull, now we're turning towards them to be able to come back. Not coming around like this. If you tuned into Mr. Francisco's seminar from yesterday on a different channel, he was doing tripping arrow. And when he was talking about tripping arrow, he was talking about dimensional freedom, giving your opponent too much space to be able to work. The idea is this: if I'm here and I want to hit him with this, if I go like here, they see it coming. So now they reverse the technique. So we want to make sure, again, we're using our body. So we're torquing again, and we're dropping this elbow in. So let's talk about the elbow shot. When you're shooting elbows, a lot of us will shoot an elbow this way, which is fine. You always want to try to find depth when we're hitting. So to find depth, I want you to think of a little circle. So there's all these little circles in our system. So you see little circles. It's a little hard to see here, but you see little circles in our system. You've got overlapping circles, kissing circles, right? All these types of circles, but you've got the circle is what we're working with. So every time we're hitting, I want you to think of a little circle, right? This is not a circle. Watch my arm. This is a straight line. I want you to dip it. Dip it. When you dip this, you see this a lot in like Muay Thai type of fighters. They'll cut with their elbows, right? What that does is it creates depth. So now you're hitting on an angle, but that the body doesn't know how to handle it. The body knows how to handle a straight on shot. Boom, it can take that, right? Especially if they're all hocked up on who knows what. But when you start hitting on angles, that's interesting. When I was in college, it was a lot of fun because I was in a martial arts club and we would spar each other. So me being an American campus, there was a Kung Fu guy, Jiu-Jitsu. There was all these different, Wing Chun, that was what I'm looking for. A Wing Chun fighter as well, practitioner. And we would spar with each other, and it was very interesting when we would spar because I could learn how to spar with these guys and try and figure out how to get in there. Because not every style is the same. You have some styles that are linear, some styles that are circular. Our style, which is going off of every different angle that can be, right? 8 different ways to go, right? But I needed to figure out how I needed to hit to get around their stance. So what that allowed me to do is really figure out how to hit around them, but at the same time hit correctly. When you look at styles such like Sistema, a Russian style, there's not a lot of structure within the style. They're in a stance, yes, but when they're striking, it doesn't matter where their hand is, as long as at that moment of impact, it's structured correctly. So it doesn't matter if they're hitting this way, as long as it's structured at the moment of impact, that's what matters the most. So when we're shooting this elbow, you're gonna dip. So you've struck, clawed him in the face, anchored down, this is what we call anchoring, and then striking. So you're creating that little, we call it a cue ball. If you think of pool, that little white ball, cue ball, it rolls, right? Bam! So you're using that little cue ball effect, which allows us to keep the motion going. So that's just one idea. So you have a technique, and I'm going to give you a minute. You're going to do this in the air. So you're going one, bang, settling, clawing through, ripping down on the arm, and then drop the elbows in on an angle, not straight. They can take that, drop it on the angle. What that's going to then do is bend them forward for your next shot, but we're not going to go any further than that. So I want you to try that. So do that in the air. So we're here, we're moving in, bang, clawing, dropping, using our body, striking down. So as I pull his arm down or her arm down, turning towards them, and you see what my back foot is doing. it's my heel is coming up as I'm dropping down and then settling back for that last strike. Down, in. Try it. Go for it. 30 seconds on the clock. Get it down. Go for it. Work it. Drop. Good. So we want to make sure you're mimicking their motion. So Steve, when you're doing that, mimic his motion. As he's coming in, you're going in. Don't wait for the push. If you wait for the push, you're going to get pushed. As he's coming in, you're going in. And then you meet. Now, as you can see, myself, I came from 3 different backgrounds. When I started American Camp, I was under a practitioner named Joe Palazzo, very big on the East Coast here in America. I was able to learn the system from him, which is very good because you have to have a base. At that point, after about 10 years or 11 years, I was stuck with, if you know, out in Wyoming, his name is Paul Mills. So I stuck with their guys for about 5 years. And in those 5 years is where I really learned about this type of thing. Structure of the body, integrity of the body, things like this, timing, rhythm, all these types of things. Because when you look at the system, yes, it's all words of motion, right? Cat, at, bat, at, things like this. But your timing is the most important thing. Different practitioners think different things. There's 3 things: timing, power, speed. To me, speed is last. That's to me. Because again, if I'm just going as fast as I can, but my partner's or my opponent's not there, well, why am I going that fast in the first place? You got to set the shot. You got to set that shot up. So when you're moving, your timing has to be correct. With this first move of this thing that we're doing right now, in our system, it's called trigger salute. But in just this first move itself, timing our opponent with our first strike, that's where you learn it right away. Bang! As they're moving in, you're moving in. So you're mimicking that motion to create more power. It's what we call borrowed force. So we're creating more power to be able to strike harder. That definitely should make sense. Okay? So this is just one idea. So what I want to do next is this. I want you to actually, we're going to talk about settling. So what I want you to do is you're going to be here. I tell the kids, like you're waiting for the school bus. You don't wait for the school bus like this. We don't wait for the school bus like this. Just relaxing, right? All we're doing is we're stepping back. Now, as we're stepping back, if you can see my feet, here's my left foot here. I'm sliding back on the ball of my foot. So I'm sliding here. At the last second, that's when the turn goes. So this way I'm in a proper stance. Okay. So we're sliding back, settling down. You see how my height drops. Right now it's here. Boom. So this is a good couple inches there that it drops. So we're talking about settling. You can either settle back, you can settle forward. Take a few seconds. Get that motion down. So if I'm going forward, sliding on the ball of my foot, turning on the ball of the foot. Do not turn on your heel. That is actually going to bring you away from the guy. If I'm here, so here's my partner. If I'm going like this and I'm turning on the heel, now he has space between us. So it's pulling me away from him. I'm sliding on the ball of the foot, turning on the ball of the foot. That straight. Practice just that. You're stepping back, you're stepping forward, you're working on settling at this point. Some of my kids do this. They'll step back, put their butts out here. Like, are you pooping? Who's pooping? No, you tuck your butt in. Tuck your butt. You're here, not. So, boom. When I went under Mr. Francisco, it's been about 6 years now. Best thing I've done yet. The first lesson that I had with him was on short form 1. We worked on posture, right? We worked on balance, but the biggest thing was posture. There's a difference between settling back this way and settling back here. If I'm settling and my weight is dropped as if you're sitting in a chair, you're more stable. Versus if I'm settling and my back is slightly bent, you're not as stable as you could be. So when you're settling, as if you're sitting in a chair. So I want you to start focusing on stepping forward now. Boom, boom. As you're stepping forward, you're going to use that friction that we used before. So as we're stepping forward, our hands are going to start to come up. Boom. And we're blocking with two hands here. So we're settling with that block. It's just not my arms that are working. It's the body that blocks. Now, as this foot is settling, we're blocking here. As the foot settles, that's when we're going to chop. So now we're using the momentum forward and the settling to hit with a very good chop to the side of this guy's neck. So we're using our body to back up that chop. So we're taking care of his arm and then settling with that next shot. Taking care of the arm, bang, and then that will go. And I want you to be aware of what your left hand is doing. That left hand is not dead. That left hand should be working as well. Correct. As we're settling, I'm just exaggerate this a little bit. If you see what my hands are doing, as both of them, they're both coming out. Boom. It's just not staying here. You got to use both hands. So this left hand is kicking just a little bit to create more momentum to shoot that right chop forward to the side of this guy's neck. All right. Right away, we're going to pivot. We hit the guy in the side of the neck. Bang! He's backing up. He's coming back to us now. Now here, we're not in a good place. We're not in a good place. My arm is extended. I'm exposed. So now I have to readjust. As they're coming back, we're going to shoot forward. And that's when our hand is coming into strike. I learned it above, below, whatever you want to do, you do. Okay? The idea to the seminars that we teach is not up to us to teach you the technique. We're here to give you a piece for you to take home, for you to work with. If you learned it from above, go for it. If you learned it from below, go for it. The reason we go from below is so they don't see it coming. If I have my hand here and this is coming from below, it's because it's coming from their blind spot. Versus if it's coming from above, they see it. Yes, with speed, you can get there correctly, but they see it. So our hand's below. And that's when we're going to then shoot that right to the guy's face. So as they're moving in, you've got the structure of this hand just in case you don't get there quick enough. They're running into this hand, but I got something else for them. Bang! And that's the shot. You go one, bang, and then two. And then right away, you're loading this up. Do not go like this for your next shot. Too much time, too much freedom for that guy to move. Load it up. We're a boxing art, be a boxer. So if you're here, I load it up. I'm ready. If a boxer's boxing and they're going for their uppercut, they're going to load it up and shoot. We're going to load it up and shoot. So now we're turning again, settling, turning, rotating that hand. So the left foot and the right hand are moving together for that good shot, for that uppercut. Okay, so let's talk about the timing of the heel palm and the uppercut. Okay. Myself, I played the clarinet from 5th grade all the way through 12th grade. Played a lot of music within that time. But that timing is what we're learning from this. Quarter beat timing. 2 counts, 4 counts, 3 counts, 5 counts, 6 counts. Things like this. When you're here and you're shot this heel palm, you don't have the luxury to stay there. You don't. You hit the guy in the face, his head kicks back. Whatever goes back's got to come forward again, right? It's the same thing. And whatever's go up, it's got to come down. Whatever goes down, it's got to come up. So if I shoot his head back, I don't have the luxury to stay here too long. Boom, right? So right from that shot, I'm loaded, and I go right back. Bang, bang. So it's a 1 and. It's not 2. It's not 1, 2. 1, 2 will slow you down. 1, 2, 1, and bang. So that's what we're trying now. We're chopping. Wait. So that's a minor. That's the shot. Minor, major. It's coming right back at you. There you go. There you go. Don't put it all together. Break it up. So you've got 1, 2. 1, 2. There you go. It's just not all one. Oh, because that's speed. Okay, we got to put a break in there somewhere. All right. So you hit the guy in the gut. They're going down. Okay, now they're bleeding. They're going down, right? As they're going down, the only place for them to go going down, if they're going to attack you, is at your leg, right? You don't need to pull them. We hit them in the gut. If I hit them in the gut and they're already down there, what's the point of me going here, right? I've seen that. I learned that a long time ago. Bang, hook, drop, right? But they're already down there. Shoot it. So they're already starting to go down. It's not a traditional outward chop. There's a difference. It seems like it's all the same thing, but it's not. And I want to do an outward chop. They can see this coming. This is a little harder for them to see. Okay? We never want to show our cards until it's time, right? So if I'm shooting that shot, still striking with this versus that, right? So as they're going down, we're going to shoot, and then we're going to follow it right up with the last shot. So outward chop, inward chop. So what that's doing is creating speed at the end. Again, speed is always last. Right? So we create speed at the end for those last 2 shots. So we went bang, bang. Here's your heel palm. Set him up. He's going down. Wham. And then drop. So you're either hitting the back of the neck twice, or you can hit the side of the neck twice, depending on where they are. We set them up for the shot, but those last 2 strikes depends on where they go. You're going to finish the technique no matter what. 3 moves. 1, 2, 3. Now we're creating timing and rhythm within our technique versus just blending it all together. You have to know the difference between minor and major moves. Instead of just blending it all together, that's speed. Been there, done that, right? Been there, done that. Walk away. You're cool. Rico suave. No. Do it correctly. Every time. Let the guy react. He has to react. So what we're learning here is body structure. I'm not teaching you the technique. It's not my job to teach you the technique. I'm teaching you how to hit correctly, right? How to hit with your body. So working with body structure, right? Timing, rhythm, speed is last. You're still hitting with power. Myself, I'm like 5'6". I'm a little dude, right? Other than here. But I'm a little dude. I have to be able to hit just as hard as somebody that's 6 foot, over 6 feet. I have to hit just as hard as Mauricio can. Mauricio is the nicest guy, one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Dude's like this tall to me. And he can hit when he wants to. I have to be able to hit just as hard, but to do that, I got to use my body to hit versus just appendages, just arm, just shoulder, just leg. You got to use your body to go. So that's another idea. So we've covered stepping forward, right, with both the low end, so hitting low, right, or hitting high, sorry. Bang, we've covered the middle road, okay. Now let's work on stepping back. So we're going to step back to settle this time. So we have a technique where the guy's pushing us with their left hand to around the center of the chest. When I learned it, first I had learned it, well, they're pushing you on the right side of your chest. This way you can grab, strike. Then I learned it, well, they're pushing you on the left side of the chest, grab, strike. Then I learned it, well, they're pushing in the middle. Just pushing with the left hand. Make it work, right? So we're pinning. As we're pinning here, we're starting to settle back. At the last second is when that strike that we basically did before going forward, now we're going in reverse. So they're basically the same technique. Okay? You got one stepping forward, one stepping in reverse. There's only 10 techniques in our system. I mean, if you flip it, if you turn it on its head, if you turn it on its side, it's the same flipping technique. Okay? Thundering hammers is thundering hammers. Well, Deceptive Panther is thundering hammers. Well, all these other, there's only 10 techniques within the system. You can only strike so many different ways. Okay? So we're moving back, we're pinning, starting to move back, and then the hit comes. And you see what my hand is doing. As I'm settling back, it's loose, pop, and then it hits. As we settle, bang, that's our shot. So the guy's coming in, we settle, and we're hitting. So we're moving back, settling, dropping, turn, wow, and let her loose. That's our shot. I'm not coming here. There's too much time. Too much time. Boom. Right from here. Where did our students learn that? The very first technique, at least in our system, delayed sword. They already learned that way back when. Well, now we're in purple belt doing the same flipping technique we just did. Delayed sword. 1. There's our first move. Not here. Here. Okay. Well, now we're doing the same thing. It's just with an open hand versus a block. Okay. So we're moving back. From here, we've got the same hook that we did before. We've got the same hook that we did before. Settling down, rotating. To me, within my techniques, very seldom do I ever go to a forward bow. Our students learn forward bows all the time. They learned it in long form 1. They learned it in all these different places within our system. A forward bow, to me at least, a forward bow doesn't give you the ability to be agile, right? We got to be able to, if we're going to fight somebody, we can't get stuck. To me, a forward bow gets me stuck. Unless I'm buckling. Totally different idea. Unless you're buckling, things like this. When I teach my students, I teach them a modified forward bow, which is basically you're still doing the pivot on the ball of the foot. You're still pointing that back leg forward, but that knee is slightly bent. So what that allows us to do is allows us the freedom to keep moving, not get stuck. So you're going bang, you're turning, and that's when the left heel comes in. Strike, boom, strike, hook, boom,
Hey, David,
strike.
David, Mr. David, Mr. David.
Sir? Yeah.
Yeah, and you got 5 more minutes, and then we're gonna have an open mic for questions.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay. Gotcha. So hook, strike. Now, the best way to understand this next motion is not here to strike. I learned that. But again, it gives the person too much time to react. You're here, come right back on that same line. So you see what my arm is doing? Boom. I'm using my body to hit versus my shoulder. I'm back on the same line. Boom. And it's like a train. When I was in the mill system, what we would do, I think everybody, all of us are old enough on here to remember what a phone book is. So we would have a phone book and we would place it here. And we had to learn how to be able to hit with a punch, full force from here without pulling it back to go forward. So what we learned, at least what I've learned, is again, that circle is what we're using. I can either hit on the downward end of the circle or I can hit on the top end of the circle. Right? So now we're doing the same thing here. This is coming here. Now I'm hitting on the bottom end of the circle, but I'm not giving my opponent time to see that coming. So it's a small circle. The elbow is what's doing the circle, not the hand. That's the difference. You have to be very aware of what your body's doing. Be very aware of what your body's doing. If I'm here, did I give him that second to see what was coming next? Did I give him that second to show him what's coming next? Did I give him that second to show them what's coming next? Right? You have to be very aware of what we're doing with our body. And you have to be very aware of how your body works. So we went bang, shot. The elbow throws the hand like a baseball. Bang, right? So you're here. If you throw a baseball, you don't throw it like this. Right? The elbow dips, the hand follows. There's your heel pump. Now we do the same thing with the hand. Bang. So this is just another idea of how we're using our body to settle, how we're using what we call torque, rotational force, how we're using backup mass. So if you have a truck, the truck, semi-truck hits a car, is it the bumper that hits the car, or is it the whole thing? It's the whole flipping thing. So you're using that backup mass to hit that guy. So these are just words that we use, what we call power principles, right? Ways to gain power, gain momentum. So we're learning different power principles. We're learning how the body works, the mechanics of the body, right? We're learning to be aware of what our body's doing, how to strike correctly with your specific frame of body. Me, again, I'm 5'6", I'm short. Mr. Francisco, he's tall, right? He can pull these things off. I said to him, I'm never going to be able to move exactly like you, but at the same time, it's not up to the student to try to mimic their instructor, because you can't. You can't. He's built totally different than I am, but I can think like him. I can take his ideas and use them and figure them out and work them for me. So that's what we're trying to give to you guys, is just ideas for you to take home. Am I saying you need to do it this way? No. Take what you want, leave what you don't.
30 seconds. Now we open mics for anybody that want to ask any questions now to Mr. David. You guys more than welcome.
There you are.
When you're doing the break on the quick, are you choosing to make solid contact with the arm at that point and then glance over to break, or are you striking and glancing in one motion when you're doing it?
Correct. Yeah. So first thing we need to understand, it takes a lot of force to break anything. So you're going to sprain it. Absolutely. That's something I had to figure out too, because I was brought up, oh, you break that guy, but it takes a lot to break a bone. Either way, that strike is hitting. And then, like you said, yeah, right away, you're off and running, because it's just like it was in triggered salute. You hit triggered salute, bang, you're off and running to your next strike. So you're here, and for this to work, we're not going to bring them around this way. We're bringing them straight down. So it's as if you're pointing at somebody, hey, you, right? And you're dropping this down. So you're using that craning motion to bring them in.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thoroughly enjoyed it, by the way. Very informative. Very well executed.
Thank you.
Good seminar. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions, Ellie? Anybody? Did you have fun?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Always.
I was having fun. So thank you very much, guys. We'll see you all in 10 minutes. Thank you, guys.
Yes.